On a sweltering summer evening in Norcross, Georgia, 16-year-old Susana Morales disappeared without a trace. It was July 26, 2022, and Susana was on her way home after a visit to a friend just a few blocks away. Although it was nearly 10 p.m. and pitch dark at the time, her family wasn't too concerned. Norcross was a safe and tight-knit community, and her friend lived less than half a mile from their home, which meant that it would have taken Susana only 10 minutes to complete the journey down the well-lit road. At approximately 9:40 p.m., Susana Morales called her mom to let her know that she was about to embark on her short journey home and that they should be expecting her in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Susana, however, never made it home that evening. As the minutes turned into hours and her family's attempts to reach her continued to go unanswered, their concerns only grew. This was out of character for their usually responsible daughter, so when they couldn't track her down, they immediately went to their local police station to report her missing. But here is where the story would take another heartbreaking turn. The officers on duty incorrectly told the Morales family that they needed to wait 48 hours before reporting Susana missing because teenagers had a habit of staying out late or running off with friends. So they told her mom that she needed to wait a bit because her daughter would most probably show up later. Despite what the police were telling them, the Morales family knew that something wasn't right. They knew their daughter was responsible and reliable, and the idea that she had vanished of her own accord made no sense. So without any help from the police, her family took matters into their own hands and embarked on their own frantic search in trying to uncover as much information as possible, knowing that the first 48 hours were crucial in such cases. Through tracking her phone and retracing her steps, the Morales family was able to find security footage that showed Susana just 1 minute from her home before she seemed to vanish into thin air. The discovery of the footage was a breakthrough for the Morales family, and yet it only deepened the mystery surrounding Susana's disappearance. This footage was evidence to the Morales family that Susana was indeed on her way home before something sinister must have happened. But what exactly happened was what the family needed to find out. The family went back to the police station to hand them the evidence they managed to uncover. Yet despite the mounting evidence, the Morales family found themselves met with resistance from the very authorities charged with protecting their community. It took nearly a month for the police to acknowledge that Susana was not a runaway, but rather a missing person, and their sluggish response derailed the investigation from the outset. In February 2023, after 7 long months of searching, the body of Susana Morales was sadly found. Her skeletal remains were discovered in a wooded area of Gwinnett County, near the Barrow County line. As the investigation unfolded, the truth behind Susana's disappearance began to emerge, and it seems that the killer was one of their very own, 22-year-old Georgia officer Miles Bryant. This is the horrifying true crime story of Susana Morales. Susana Morales was a 16-year-old high school freshman from Norcross, Georgia, and was a shining light in the lives of those who knew her. With her infectious smile, kind nature, and talent for music, Susana stood out amongst her peers, admired for her positivity and warm demeanor. She was the youngest of 3 siblings and came from an extremely tight-knit family, where secrets were rare and support was abundant. The family enjoyed spending quality time together. Whether it was going to the movies, grabbing a bite to eat, or just hanging out, they simply enjoyed each other's company. Despite being a freshman in high school, Susana was already a cheerleader and well-liked by her peers. Her peaceful disposition and friendly nature made her a popular figure among her classmates. But it wasn't just her kind personality that captured people's hearts. Susana also had a passion for music and a natural flair for instruments, mastering the piano, and had recently also taken up the guitar and ukulele, quickly proving to be a natural at both. Susana loved to perform for all those who wanted to listen, often gathering her family in her room, where she would bring joy to those around her. Her love for music and natural talent could make even the most mundane moments feel magical. On Tuesday, July 26, 2022, the Morales family went about their usual routine. It was the middle of the summer break, and Susana was relishing in her well-deserved time off from school, using the time to recharge her batteries. Eager to make the most of her time off and earn some extra cash in the process, Susana joined her mother at work for the day, eager to learn and gain some valuable life experience. As mother and daughter tackled the day's tasks side by side, enjoying the time they got to spend together, they were unaware of the significance of the day and the horrors which would unfold just a few hours later. Susana and her mom arrived home at around 4 p.m. that afternoon. After freshening up, having supper, and lounging around for a while, she asked her mom at 6 p.m. if it was okay to visit one of her closest friends who lived about half a mile away, and her mom gave her the go-ahead. It was just a short 10-minute walk to her friend's flat at the Sterling Glen Apartments, and it was a journey Susana had made plenty of times before. So shortly after 6 p.m., she said goodbye to her mom and made the journey to her friend's place. She arrived there about 10 minutes later, and as usual was the case, she texted her mom immediately to let her know that she arrived safely. The two girls spent the next few hours chatting, laughing, and enjoying each other's company, and time basically flew by. Before they even realized it, it was now well past 9:30, and Susana knew that she needed to make her way back home. She once again texted her mom, this time at 9:40 p.m., to let her know that she was about to embark on her journey back home and promised to see her in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Susana's mom, who was still awake at the time, waited up as usual for her daughter to be safely in bed before she'd go to sleep. But as the minutes passed without the sound of Susana walking through the front door, her mom began to feel a sense of unease. It's been over 15 minutes since the text from Susana, yet she wasn't home yet, and her mom immediately sensed that something wasn't right. Her mom waited anxiously as the clock ticked away, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Her heart sank with every minute that passed without a sign or word from her daughter. Minutes had turned into hours, and without warning, it was now already the next morning, and still no word from Susana. Her family was unable to get hold of her, her phone going straight to voicemail, and it seemed that no one had seen or heard from her. So that very morning, her mom went to the police station to report Susana missing. When the Morales family approached the police to report Susana missing, they never could have anticipated the level of resistance they'd face from the very people tasked with protecting their community. The officer on duty callously told them to wait 48 hours before reporting her disappearance, dismissing their fears and concerns as nothing more than typical teenage behavior, claiming that teenage girls often ran off with their partners or stayed out late at parties. But Susana's family knew better. She hadn't taken any personal belongings with her, not even a change of clothes, and it was completely out of character for her not to let her family know where she was. Despite this, the police continued to treat her case as that of a runaway, even as her family adamantly insisted that a crime had been committed. The police were even reluctant to release a statement on Susana's disappearance or to reach out to the community to request that they keep an eye out for the missing 16-year-old girl. This only added to the mounting sense of frustration and desperation felt by the Morales family, who knew that they couldn't depend on the police and that it was up to them to spread the word and find Susana. They designed and distributed their own flyers, hoping that someone in the community would be able to offer some much-needed assistance. Their persistence finally paid off when a local business in the area stepped forward with security camera footage. The footage showed Susana walking home just after 10 p.m., mere moments before she was expected to arrive home. What was interesting to the Morales family was that this business was located less than a minute's walk from their home, making it clear that Susana had been on her way back home, just as she'd indicated in her last text message. It was evident to the Morales family that something must have happened to Susana between the time she passed the store and the 1 minute it would have taken her to get home. The family also managed to track Susana's last known movements via a GPS app on her phone. The data showed that Susana had been walking down Singleton Road between 10:07 and 10:21 p.m., headed in the direction of her home on Windscape Village Lane. But then something strange happened. Her phone pinged again at 10:26 p.m. near Oaklock Trace, which was in the opposite direction of her home, nearly a mile away from her last known location. The family immediately brought this information to the police, who reluctantly acknowledged that it was probable that Susana had gotten into a vehicle around 10:21 and traveled in the direction of Oaklock Trace. But even with this mounting evidence of foul play, the police were still hesitant to officially declare Susana a missing person. The family did their best to keep Susana's story alive and to continue putting pressure on the police, so they approached various news agencies hoping to shed light on Susana's case and keep her in the public eye. Through their tireless efforts and the power of social media, Susana's story gained momentum, putting pressure on the police to take action. The pressure eventually became too much for the police to ignore, and on August 29, 2022, a month after Susana's disappearance, they finally released a press statement officially declaring her a missing person. The Morales family's persistence had paid off, but they knew that the road ahead would be long and uncertain, and that a lot of valuable time was lost in trying to find Susana. But they continued to hope that the case would move forward from here. Unfortunately, the case wouldn't move as fast as they had hoped, and it would take 6 months before police would reach out to them again. This time, they approached the family and requested a DNA sample from her mother, as well as dental records for Susana. This was a strange request for the Morales family, as it seemed to confirm their worst fears that police weren't searching for a missing person, but in fact, they were searching for a body. Their fears would eventually turn into reality on February 6, 2023, nearly 7 months after her disappearance, when the body of Susana Morales was discovered in a wooded area between Drowning Creek and Barrow County. Medical examinations would confirm that she died between 10 p.m. on July 26th, the day she disappeared, and 2 a.m. on July 27th. Upon further investigations of the scene, only a few feet from her body, officers discovered a handgun. Although it was clear that Susana wasn't shot, police were certain that the handgun had something to do with the case, so they collected it as evidence and traced the serial number of the gun, and what they would eventually discover would shock the community of Norcross to its core. The gun was traced back to 22-year-old Dorville police officer Miles Bryant. This was a shock to the police officers who realized that they needed to investigate one of their own. When they took a closer look at Bryant, they discovered that he had reported his gun stolen just 2 hours after the Morales family had reported Susana missing. In this report, he said that he accidentally left his truck door unlocked, and that's how someone was able to get inside his truck and steal his weapon, his military ID, and his wallet. Police also noticed that Miles lived in the same apartment complex where Susana's friend was staying, and where she was last seen the previous evening. The evidence was starting to mount up. So on February 13th, 1 week after Susana's body was discovered, police arrested Miles Bryant. He was charged with concealing the death of Susana Morales, as well as for the false reporting of a crime. The warrant alleged that Bryant dumped Morales' naked body in the woods between Drowning Creek and Barrow County, and that he had previously given a false report that his personal car had been broken into and a gun taken from inside the vehicle. Police also stated that they didn't believe that Susana Morales knew Miles Bryant. After his arrest, it would also emerge that Miles Bryant had a history of stalking and harassing behavior, and that he had previous maladministration charges against him. Despite the police previously being made aware of these allegations, minimal action was taken against Bryant. In 2022, around the same time as when Susana went missing, a woman approached the Dorville police station complaining that she was being stalked by Bryant and that he had tried to break into her home. She said that she had known Bryant since the 5th grade, but their paths separated when they got older. Bryant tried to reconnect with her, and after chatting for a while, the lady decided that they didn't have much in common and distanced herself from him. After this, Bryant became aggressive and started to stalk and harass her. She felt that she was being watched, and someone even tried to break into her house, breaking the panel on her door. She also approached a neighbor who had a security camera, and after reviewing the footage, she saw a person who she believed to be Bryant trying to break into her home. Although he was trying to hide his identity, one frame caught him looking directly at the camera. Bryant's behavior was so aggressive and so intimidating that the lady actually feared for her life, and she ended up getting a firearm to protect herself. She reported his behavior to the Dorville Police Department, but nothing was really done about it, and the department only gave him a stern talking to. Bryant was also accused in 2018 of trying to break into a neighbor's house by entering through a window. The neighbor actually called the police, but when they arrived, Bryant denied that he ever tried to break in. After a bit of back and forth, the neighbor decided not to press charges, and no further action was taken. In October 2022, there was another allegation against Bryant, and he was actually charged departmentally for his actions, this time for maladministration. A family had reported their child missing, and Bryant was responsible for drawing up the report. He took 3 days before finishing the report, while federal law requires it to be done within 2 hours. For those 3 days, there was no record of that child being reported missing, and Bryant was eventually written up. It's unclear if the missing child was ever found. On February 23, 2023, Miles Bryant appeared in court and was informed that his charges had been upgraded. He was now also charged with the murder and kidnapping of Susana Morales. His lawyers indicated that they'll be applying for him to be released on bond. The motion for the bond hearing is scheduled for May 1, 2023. The Dorville Police Department has also recently announced that Miles Bryant has been fired from the force.